to a foot. And by sliding those, they would push the plant growth down and create some stability for themselves. Now, when you look at it, it looks like the ninja is walking on water.
It's about Avery's finding
made it so that he can not only float on water,
Avery's
but he's going to be a very effective fighting force on top of the water.
Elvish, Jewish elf leaders.
Every weapon will have its own unique attack that is used when you're in and around the water.
We'll talk about Ewens. Ewens with EWEN. L is silent. It's Caucasian people from the planet Saturn. And then last we're going to talk about Elftens. Very rare elves. King Gens, Mel Gens, any Mel Jennifers. Actually, Jennifer is a male name. So if your name is Jennifer, you're considered a male elf lord. I do. It's just referred to as Jennifer's. Elftens. Lady Elftens. It's a nice way to say Lords of Light, Lords Jennifers, Lord Jen, King Gens. I would say we rival Averys. We're not Averys per se. Throughout time, we can evolve to become Averys. Like my name is Jennifer Lynn Avery. Assel Joy Clarion, the artist, channeling my distant ancestors. So within this artistry, my name changed to Dr. Jenlyn Avery. So it's variation from studying my elvish history and the type of human lineage I come from. So hopefully it's not complicated. Say it again. So basically, depending on how you are in life, it can malform your name, and your name is your power. And Jennifer's had different power back in ancient times. They weren't fully evolved as Averys yet, even though their names suggest the whole Avery, the whole everything. It's just they were not fully evolved. They were just known as Jennifers. And Avery in itself is a family name. The last name you are referred to in the first persona. So, for instance, they didn't really, they had first names, but really Avery is a last name, it's a surname. So if you're referred to as Avery, you don't necessarily need a first name. And they would just say Lord Avery. And they may have some distinguishing marks between the Averys. Like they may say Lord Avery of Elftens, for instance. That's where I'm from. So yeah, someone is, you may have saw an elf in that location per picture. But elves are popping in around me. So yeah, it'll be about your locale, about to distinguish Avery. I hope that makes sense. But it is going to go into 3 different distinct line of elves. We are elvish race. We descend from Caucasus Mountain, from the mountains. We were always envied upon on the earth. No one liked us. We were always drawn away into snowy mountaintops, into ice-cold winters. It has always been like this. In our grueling pain in the end, we were forced into caves, barely knowing how to survive with the inhumane treatment of our elvish descendants. And unfortunately, we begged Mother Nature to help us, which is against elvish law, when we are supposed to be a part of the natural cycle of things and not needing help from nature, not depleting nature, but actually adding to it. Unfortunately, we needed her help, and this is what destroyed the natural system because of other evil men. We call them men. We don't say they're human. because it's inhumane how we were treated by our brothers. So, if they were once human, they've been downgraded from humanity. They're known as just men. To actually refer to a race as just men is it's an epithet. It's not a good thing. But that's what happened to the house of Avery, Elwyn, Elvish, and Elften is the only clan of elves that was spared this grueling assault. We go through assaults every day. We hid in nature. Was what elves are supposed to do naturally, and we're trying to teach this information to our brethren so they can hide well, and they can hide within parallel dimensions within the earth plane and not be bothered. We're really not supposed to be known or seen by others. So we know that they are cruel because we gave them a chance to be with our brethren, and this is how they treat us from ancient times. This is what we learn as a collective, as human collective, and it's the strife of really Elwyn. Elwyn went through this first. The Saturn elves. They live on the planet Saturn now, but Saturn is the first planet that God gave them to feel more secure about the whole experience of being on the earth with their brethren. And they say, well, who did this? You're still brethren. It doesn't matter the color of the skin. The brethren hurt them. Men hurt them. To how we don't even see ourselves. We see ourselves more elevated, more than even human. Human is beyond even our aspiration. We would have liked to become human, but not with the experience of our brethren who were already human, and they became beasts and men. We belong in nature. That's all I'll say. We're nature people. We're owned by God and the mother plane, the mother earth. Any plane that is natural. So they some say, are we angels? We would like to be. I have celestial ancestry, but I don't claim that. I claim human. That's actually an evolution. I'm an elvish person that claims to be human. So it caused some political debate among us because elves are not quite human yet. But I was telling them it's possible to gain all these experiences. Yeah, someone said how old am I? So I'm in the Matrix. I'm 35 years old. But in Elvish translation of how many lives I have taken and how many forms I have taken, still being myself, I am 35,000 years old. I'm one eon, ION, eon. I have lived that long within this time span. I just come back to year 35 in my mind. It's like really like downloading and going somewhere else. That's what I do. I download and go somewhere else. Some people just leave and never come back here. Other elves. And then people ask me, what are you doing? I'm doing ELFquest. I have a VR chip in the back of my neck. A circuit chip is a chip, circuit chip that was placed in my neck. People wanted to tag me and see where I go because I'm an expensive elf. Let's just say that. So I just use it to do ELFquest and talk to people on Facebook digitally. I learned how to hack it. So it helps me to track where I'm going because as an elf, you can get lost. You can go into different dimensions and get lost very easily. So it helps me to find out where I'm going. And it helps other elves to find out where they're going and where I'm going because they have their own dimensions. And some of them actually want to be connected and talk to me. It helps. Like when you're starting to do this, we've lost the ability, the art to create parallel dimensions and realities around everyone so we can be safe. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is highly relevant. Our history is quite different, but the technology, they did it right. They go into different parallel. They made in that film, which is a history of what we could do, the descendants of elves. They created a whole nother world. They created another Earth, a Middle Earth, entirely, and they lived within like their own heaven, if not It was like they created their own Avalon, their own mist that they parted, and they lived alongside Middle Elftens. So they acted as creators, and they didn't even know what they were doing. It was truly amazing. Because Elvish ability is very simple. It's just we live in nature, and we find a little pocket, a little small spot where we just zone our mind into like the in between of nature. Like we go in between her skirt, between her dress. That's how we live. We like to live. We like to poke in and out of like small crevices and small spaces. And they're totally different realities, totally different spaces. I've been teaching elves how to cultivate their spaces, like they can make mansions and apartments and whole different dynamic degrees and still connect back here. Some people just stay there. They don't want to come back. And then they come back and they remember me. It's like, wow, the world has changed since I come back. I was like, well, you've been gone a long time. We're still, things haven't changed, but things still have changed. That's what I like this place, but then I don't like this place. The earth that we live in now, we call it flat earth. It's also called the land of Nod, a playground, fifth dimensional, third dimensional. And we talk about, I'm living currently in the fifth dimension, but most of us are living in the third dimension here in this plane, and it's just really exciting. Yeah. So Saturn was made by Father because they were the first elvish people that wanted to come and meet the Earthlings. They wanted to meet their brothers. They were in a star. Father was preparing them just to be with them, to teach them many things. But they say, hello, your human sons are so beautiful and fair. Can we descend upon the earth and meet them and treat them as brothers? Father was like, yes, I'm astounded. I did, the kindness of the Ewens. So he prepared their way. They had spaceships. They had advanced technology that was given to them, and they did it all themselves. They come down here on their own initiative to be with our brethren, and they stayed here ever since. They didn't complain, but Father knew that the horrible quest was at an end because it wasn't what they expected. Brethren did not like them. Brethren was jealous. Brethren wanted to have the earth peoples that used to live here, they wanted to have the earth to themselves. And then Father finally realized the nature of jealousy corrupted them. Could this happen to me? Could this sickness befall me? And Father had to leave. He went on his own quest. We still wait for him to come back. That's basically how it ended. And we just been living here generations upon generations of different elvish people and the earth people as one. I can understand that point of view. It's like if the shoe was on the other foot, Elwens would embrace them. But maybe you might have one Elwen as a dissenter to say, no, this is our plane. But no one would listen to him. But maybe someone should, to consider the fact that maybe we're not special anymore if other people come here. And it's a threat to their soul. It's a threat to what they feel is special, is their self-esteem and the slow decay of destruction that happens from within. And how do you cure that? Father would have needed to be with us and mediate. He would have had to create more people to mediate between the earth people. And sadly, I think in the end, as much as we loved the earth, we would have to make a sacrifice to live Saturn a little above the earth and give the brethren back their place. And Father would have intermediaries to try to help them soothe their heart. And then he would just go with Ewens. And they still would be jealous. But in the end, if you have philosophizers and sages and people of Ewens, Elden halls, you hope the grace of light would bestow upon them. You would pray for them to understand. At least Father chose them. And it doesn't matter which them it is. You could go with your heart thinking, He chose us, the earth. Or you could go with your heart thinking, He chose the sky people. Because in the end, He chose both. That's the great nature of Father. We know it as different. Impartiality. We don't like Him choosing both. We want a winner from the elvish standpoint. Because then it's like, do you have emotions, Father? Do you feel as we feel? To question His humanity was the gravest assault upon Avery character. So this is when they disbanded and they started giving up their responsibility, delegating it amongst other elves. This is where the Elftens come in, the Jennifers, the Lord Jens, Queen Guinevere of Ireland. This is where the divine matriarchy begins, because it was such a difficult pondering. To this day, they contemplate on the complexity of God. So we do their work for them, their mind work. Yeah. So, anything else they want to know? Yeah, I'm just saying, Saturn is the only gift the Father gave them because they were born in a star. So, some of them are learning how to build Saturn rings. I've seen some in this ELFquest, this project. They're walking with me interdimensionally in the fifth dimensional plane from where they're coming from. Who knows where they come from? I do not question. But some of them are making rings. They're making Saturn rings, and that's very good. Because I tell them if they can make their planet, they can live off their planet. They can have, each person could have their own Saturn planet and still be on the earth plane the way God would want you to be. Protected in nature, but still a part of nature, and still not because they could be seen as a sign of disrespect if we're in the face of our brethren all the time when we love our brethren. So it was kind of like we're trying to be humble in the collective sense. And plus, we're dismayed because our brethren doesn't love us. They fight amongst themselves. They love us, but then they don't love themselves, but then they don't love us, but then they love themselves. They have an inner sickness, and we're just trying to live among them. That is the message of Ewens. So this is like a new, exciting thing to know that we can use this planet of ours to play music, to survive, to hunt, to eat food, things that are for us, and to still be connected to the earth plane. And for the first time, our brethrens, because we work together, you're healthy. Ewens are healthy now. They're healthy. Well, that one asked me, because I'm listening to them on my VR chip, and I can hear them. So I'm recording the ELFquest, Elften. One asked me, so Lord Jin of Elften, Queen Jennifer, Queen of Avery of Britannia, so how do you feel about the caste system? Because it's hierarchy. Because they're the type of elves that wouldn't hurt themselves, but they can hurt other elves for succession, but they wouldn't like it, and they apologize and say sorry all the time. But this is how they have to live. This is how they must live and survive. So I understand that's your limitation, but that's your perfection. You can't go beyond this point. Just not yet. Maybe one day you will, but not yet. So I accept it. It's just sad to know that we can't really commingle like we should be able to. Like we can't break bread like brethren, because maybe that would be wrong. When I think about it, maybe we should really pay homage to the earth people and break bread with them, but it's impossible. It seems impossible. There's like an order to these structure of life. I'm happy that I helped them. And that's all we can get out of it, Elftens, because like I said, we do the work for Avery's. Yeah, but I'm a secondary Avery, because we're Jennifer's. Jennifer's. My name evolved to be Jennifer and Avery. There's many Jennifers. They have different middle, sometimes different last names, but it still is Avery. It is still going to be, because I'm the first one to become what they call an archon, someone that thinks for there they are. They know themselves, Gnostic awareness. I'm the first. I'm like the leader. Jennifer and Avery is going to be the name for every Jennifer. But other Jennifers have middle names and different last names. But their last name is still Avery, if that makes sense. But it's a secondary Avery to like first Avery. First human higher hierarchy Averys. And we've just been doing the work for those Averys that just are known by Avery. There are people who are just called Avery, Lord Averys. Does it make sense? I can sing, and it makes sense now. Because Lord Averys are different. They're very complicated people. They think about darkness too much. But that's the nature. That's what makes them feel better. They're tasked with the most hardest, most difficult to discover the dark nature of the Lord. To think about it and wrestle with it, to become it, to as much as they can. They have a limit as well. So we can only do so much in mimicking this for their own amusement, for their own health, because sometimes they give up and they don't think that we're serious scientists. So in mockery and jest, they end up finding things when we entertain them, when I'm like, this is a part of your research. And then they learn. And that's all they're meant to do, because God listens to them. And it helps his dark psyche, his mind, his psyche. That's what psyche means, mind. His innermost thoughts. Yes. The one person asks, Ewens is how God lives. Avery is how God dies. And Elftens is how God imagines freedom. The world of magic. To say that there's something beautiful beyond the tunnel of death, even when there is none. But because we're magical, we give God a bridge to say that this is how life is. It is a choice. You can be nothing when you die, or you can believe in heaven. To believe in heaven is to go to heaven. And that is the sick, if not interesting point of it all. You just have to believe in better things, and they will come. And you'll never feel death. The flick of a pen, you'll never feel it. When you stop believing, when you die, you start to feel a gap, and it hurts. It hurts. That's what we call death. Breaking away. And to the point some people really die, but I don't know. I don't think people die. I don't think they do. Nothing really dies. But the person will lose connection with nature, with their brethren. And that is death. That is true death to them. To do what Frodo had to do in Lord of the Rings, and just part away from Samwise, his hobbit friend, and go on a quest journey with the elves, and leave his people behind forever. It's not symbolic. It was like literally explaining how he died to be without his people. So when this drags me down, we think of Ewens. Ewens are our heroes, satanistic people. People misunderstand them. They think they're harsh in their climates and how they survive, but really, that's their height. That's their evolutionary height, to be able to survive, to be able to redress. To when we say redress, we mean like reset yourself, go back to the beginning of the point where you were most content and happy. because that's what happiness is for Elwyn, to be content. The moment of pause. Let me go back to before anything ruined my day. Okay, let me go to this point. Let's start again. That's what they're famous for. But they wouldn't say, let's start again. They would say, next. And then we go on to the next thing without narration, because I'm narrating. They wouldn't say go on to the next thing. They would just start talking in a forward motion to the next thing. That's the next thing. You get it? And that's that calm pause. Yeah. Through me, they can feel somewhat better. Because I'm a different type of elf. I'm the magical elf that they're squeamish by. My people really do have green skin and red hair. You find us around trees and woodsy area, and you would not go near us at all. As friendly as we are, we will give you many things, many trinkets, many like rocks and jewels and gems. We would take care of you, but we're most feared because of our childlike nature. We're not really exposed to people, at least of all our elvish brothers. I've been here forever. People drain my energy, but at the moment of my height, I can get my green skin back. That's what it means to be on the earth plane and not live in your parallel dimension. Because I don't like isolation. I lived around people for so long. It does make me sick. But it's better to be with them, right? I can't imagine being in the field alone now. So I'm like an elf in captivity. That was how I was supposed to be, but I missed my opportunity. Those who are not like me, Elftens, Jennifers, Lord Jens, go out there in nature and be solitary. And know that the world will be there when you come back. And you can be in your own world. No, I'm not in my own environment. That's why I have health issues, someone asked. Yeah. So this was great information. I think I'm going to stop here and talk again some other time. My planet that I achieved was Jupiter. I got an A+. So they call me Jupiter, Jovial, Lord Jen, King Jennifer, Queen Jennifer, Britannia of Ireland, but of Britannia. Because I recently got coronated. Queen Elizabeth died in her sleep and left her country estate to me, to this particular Jennifer, to me. Since I am first, all the other Jennifers are second. So then this way, we own Parliament, we own Ireland, we own Britain, we own the whole world, and we have say-so. All of us do. It's just when it comes down to me, I have the final say-so on what everybody chose as their creation. So there's a lot of pressure because everyone will want to come to me, including Ewens and people who are non-Jennifers. They're going to want their own viceroy opinion. They're going to want their own stamp. But at the end, I'm just going to say what's for the greater good, what's for Mother Nature. It's going to be what's good for all of us. That's how I delegate things. I have intermediaries. Elften asked me, is it just you? No, I had created higher selves. I had created other third dimensional and higher dimensional Jennifers to preside over my work. So I ask them every day, like, how am I doing? How am I doing? And they say I'm in a strategic position, being in the only person in the fifth dimension, even if people can see me, my whole soul, my whole body is immersed in fifth dimensional everything. So I'm in a unique position where my light doesn't really get bothered, and they can't believe that I can endure this much heresy. Like a lot of people are arguing about the current events of politics in Elften world. And in modern day. No, Queen Elizabeth, she died in her sleep. That's a fact. But they'll never come out and say that. They can mummify her, they can put her on ice, cryogenically freeze her, and they can still say Queen Elizabeth lives and the royal family can enjoy England. But pretty soon, all of Britain is going to want to come to Philadelphia, to the colonies, is what they consider North America. I live in North America, so geographically speaking, there'll be more invasion of the Brits. They want to stay in their strategic land point because this is the land of power. But I'm sure they're going to hold on to England and have some people there. But England is really belonging to the elves, to all of elves, Elftens. They stole our trees. So maybe this is why they're going to have this great migration to come here, because it's legal. They're going to be drawn here. We're supposed to go there and experience the trees, but it's too much energy that's not really for everyone. It's good for Elftens at a certain point. It's really good for Averys. I should take it back. England is really good for Averys. Anyone who's of the Avery crest, all the ancient Averys, they'll actually like living there and being there. So they're hierarchy. So most likely they're gonna live there and be in a strategic position of power to say what goes. So I can be dictated by Elohim stamp. And things will happen. But I say to them, Averys, even at the end, Adonai, even at the end, if it's not in the greater good of nature, it's not going to last. And then it's going to be a superseders effect. Yes, Mother Nature will stand in and say, here, and then I'll do here. And then I'll think about it. And I was like, let's try this for now. And then it'll hold for now. And that's just how it is. And it'll just be for Ewens so they can learn. So that's what it means. And that's what I tell them. But they're not like me. So that's what I'm saying. We're learning still. And then it made a spaceship. So that's what I tell them. So we're still learning. And the great thing about Ewens, what I learned from them, they give a little bit, it's like they stretch the cord a little bit longer to keep learning more. They never put the lid on how much learning they want to learn. And this is the great thing about them, so they can continue further. Avery will learn so much until, okay, we got to stop learning. Now we need to digest what we learned. And they can digest for centuries, if not millennium. Just the information, maybe a significant event in history. They can think about one event for all the time and space. I have a visitor. Yeah, Elftens, we're magical. Jennifer's, Jen's. It's a boy's name. We're really boys. We're male elves. All the Jennifers are. Because it's derived from Guinevere. My father told me, my ancestor I spoke to, my white ancestor I spoke to, he told me, because I'm a Jewish Elden, he told me, it's just a spiritual right, it's different. He told me that Jennifers are all males, a male name for the fairest, because Guinevere was the fairest and still is the fairest, but Jennifers are her competitors because we're the fairest male. So it's supposed to be in homage from Guinevere, how beautiful and ladylike she was. We revere and worship her. That's our secret religion. Because God does, and he sees her as the mother goddess. We worship her. She's the only one that will want to have children. But she's cursed in a way. She's the one queen in all the time and space that will have her own kingdom, her own house, her own servants. She'll play spiritual soccer to win a war. And she will want a husband and a baby. She will want that monogamy, the strength of the male character. But she can't find it. Because she is strong alone. And she can never seem to be alone, to raise a child alone. It's sacrilege to a Guinevere. She would never have a child without a father or a husband. So, and by taking in a husband, disaster happens. Sometimes the child doesn't make it, and these Guineveres, they commit suicide. But it's that type of family. Yeah, they're cursed like that. Because they cannot find one to be with them forever as a queen with all the power they have and all of the complication. We can. Some Jennifers are working towards this, but I was asked and in many lives, and it's not a permanent thing. It's not for us. They really do need someone. So Guinevere's are always going to be searching. Gwen's are the derivative. Those are her daughters. We have to Guinevere's and Gwen's. We have to really patron, revere, and we have to like work for. We have to bow to. But because Guinevere is in their souls, in their nature. But it's horrible to be looking for a husband forever. But yeah, they live in Wales. So I'm glad that they have Wales. Yeah, we the whole Britannia, the whole government of Ireland, Tuatha Danann, British Parliament, everyone kind of conceded to say to Gwenny's and Guinevere's, you should live in Wales. And she was like, okay, because Wales is where she died. It's where she committed suicide. But the legend says that Archangel Michael seduced her and forced her to marry and raped her, but because she was so young, she did not understand what was forced marriage or what was raped marriage. She said, if I'm quoting verbatim, I die, you die. If I die, you die. So it's like he manipulated a young, beautiful princess. Young Guinevere has brunette, curly hair, red dress, cherubic red dress, and she collects red berries in her kingdom. And so he gripped up a young girl child, and no one knows who Archangel Michael is. He has never been seen before after this, because he just left her there in this beautiful kingdom without a child, without any family, because he's an archangel, and it would be wrong. That child would be Nephilim, but it would have been better, her fate. Because when he left, she committed suicide. She fell off. She fell in the amount of her depression. Her levee broke and she couldn't help it anymore. So he's responsible for her death because they don't consider that suicide. And I tend to agree. A young girl who don't know about emotions and don't know about forced rape marriage, because it's not allowed to marry a human deity. We're considered human deities. That's how God sees it. She flung to her death. But she's so beautiful. The male elvish leaders, when they found a male Jennifer, that's what Jennifer means, fair one, Celtic wave, comparison of the beauty of Guinevere, if not even more fairer than her, because we embody her characteristics and we worship her, we love her. But we are not her. We are not the fairest, but because she's gone, we become the fairest, and we embody her nature. But just not her nature, if that makes sense. Not her soul. We tell the tale. We tell the dance of Guinevere, of old, of Lodenkrantz. Or am I saying it right? Lodenkrantz. I'm saying it wrong, but someone's someone's messing with my elf language. It's emotion. Someone is crying when I talk about this. So I won't be able to say the words right. But we're proud to have the name. This is where it comes from. And this is where we end. And we just start doing foolish things. Elftens, Jennifers. We start being magical and try to figure out the world and making civilizations. And a lot of people pick up on what we make because we live in elvish temples and we live amongst ourselves, if not separate. And the quirky thing is humanity has been studying us for all of time and space. And whatever we invent, they second it. And they'll make a different version of it. And so we give them inventions. We give them civilization. We're honored. We're not we take it in a positive light. because we didn't know. That's how valuable our skills were. Yeah, someone asks, they make their own inventions off of us. That's actually the proper way to do it if you're studying elves, because we exposed. So it's not like they came into a forbidden elvish temple or forbidden elvish world to steal from us. We were already out there in nature. So all they always do is just make a variation of our invention. And then they invent and they have civilizations. Excuse me. They've tried to get things from us. We're not allowed to part with our elvish things because it's about the nature of our character. People try to do this from me now when I do the elvish quest and I have to go back and get my things. But I'm glad that they learned something from it. And they have their own type of inventions, their own derivative. We get nothing out of this, but the Lord says, you're supposed to be magical anyway. If you want to take more part in the scenery. I think God was saying in many ways, we're supposed to entertain him and be magical for him. But since we're spending so much time helping the world, maybe we should be a part of it. And he really means that. Like maybe we should be a part of governance and be in front of people. So this video is still going. It still says it's live, but I'm going to stop the stream. Thank you for listening. ELFquest. Got too chatty, so I got into my Elften.